I swear to the heavens, I definitely did not steal the holy token question of God. He had been arrogant a moment ago, but now he had turned into a dead dog. Perhaps he could still be arrogant in front of these disciples, but facing Star's spirit messenger, he was only afraid. The space between Star's spirit messenger's brows expanded as a wave of idea pressed on his head. Puchi, Murong Tian was crushed to the point that his face turned pale as he spat out a mouthful of blood in incomparable pain. Star's spirit messenger retracted his aura and said, "He doesn't have the slightest bit of holy token question of God's aura on him." Murong Tian acted like he was amnesty and said, "I definitely won't go against Tong Tian Hall of Immortals, and even more so, won't go against Star's spirit." Then, Chiu Wandao said, "Since you can sense the existence of holy token question of God, then you should be very clear on whether or not there are any holy token question of God here. You are just a small messenger from Tong Tian Hall of Immortals. What right do you have to suppress the examinees from God Emperor Academy?" "Right." The Star Spirit Messenger laughed coldly and said, "This is the power." He took out the holy token question of God and stared at Chiu Wandao. "Old Chiu, don't think that just because you're the previous principal, you can do whatever you want. There is a limit to supreme God's tolerance." Chiu Wandao laughed and said, "Does his tolerance for restrictions have anything to do with me? Let me ask you right now. The reason for the current situation is that you, the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals, randomly assigned people to be the Invigilator, and you, the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals, are responsible for everything that has happened." Zhang Tianai immediately gave Chiu Wandao a meaningful look. Chiu Wandao completely pretended that he couldn't see and said, "Why is it that Pan, who is able to do whatever he wants, that the disciples of his family are in the simplest examination grounds, and that the other disciples are in the more difficult examination grounds? Someone who was not on good terms with his sky-separating clan was even placed in the 5-level secret territory, in the 10th space of the demon beast. If not for your indulgence, no one would dare to do this." His business wasn't big, but everyone around him could clearly hear what he said. Indeed, if not for Hall of Immortals' order, this would not have happened. The center of Star Spirit Messenger's brows wrinkled. He snorted coldly and said, "I am only investigating the matter of the holy token question of God. You want the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals to take full responsibility? Old man Chiu, did you shit your brains?" Chiu Wandao frowned. He also didn't think that Long Fei would agree to go to the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals. If he went there, his cultivation would not be able to guarantee his safety. Although Chiu Wandao was unconvinced with the existence of the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals, the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals was indeed the strongest power in the immortal domain, and was also the center of the strong. Moreover, other than a few normal clan elders, the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals had also concealed a variety of monster rankers who had survived for hundreds of years. Their cultivation bases were unimaginably high. Any one of them could crush him. He didn't know what Long Fei was thinking, but since Long Fei had agreed, he had to follow. Even if he were to die, he had to protect him well. Star Spirit Messenger smiled faintly and said, "All right." He was overjoyed. He had always suspected that Long Fei had obtained the holy token question of Goddess from Pan Hu's body, but he couldn't sense it. It was very strange. However, Supreme God would definitely be able to sense it. And then again, Long Fei had killed Hong Tianjun in the Southern Sky region, and this matter had not been settled yet. He was secretly pleased in his heart. "Kid, just you wait." Long Fei's mind kept on thinking, comprehending, and comprehending. His mind was filled with thoughts about the holy token question of God, and his mind was filled with thoughts on how to obtain the holy token question of God on Star Spirit Messenger. Steel. Therefore, he needed a skill. It was a skill that belonged to a thief. Before he comprehended this skill, he could not be too far away from Star Spirit Messenger, or else it would be a waste for him to comprehend it. One holy token question of God, and 100 seal chains. I cannot let them go so easily. This was what Long Fei wanted to do. Long Fei turned around and said to Fatty Chen, "Wait here for my return. If I don't return within a day, quickly leave God Emperor City. The further, the better." What exactly happened on that day in the South Horizon region? Long Fei did not know either. Lang Qianli still hasn't come back. He had always been worried about her. Chun Tianfei was naturally unable to stop Long Fei and said, "Boss, be careful." Man Tuoyuo looked at Long Fei, and Long Fei also looked at her. And then the Star Spirit Messenger moved, and a strong force dragged Long Fei, Qiu Wandao, and Zhang Tianai away. They flew into the air and disappeared in the blink of an eye, on the way to the Heavenly Hall of Immortals. Qiu Wandao asked Long Fei via sound transmission, "Why did you come to Tong Tian Hall of Immortals?" Long Fei replied, "If you want to see what a Heavenly Hall of Immortals is, you can find the way there the next time you go." Qiu Wandao was speechless. In his impression, Long Fei was definitely not a reckless person. Long Fei actually didn't have much of a feeling towards spirit energy, but the system kept beeping out notifications in his mind. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for gaining +1 comprehension. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for gaining +1 comprehension. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for gaining +1 comprehension. The system kept ringing. Moreover, after Long Fei examined the attributes, he realized that this was not a true increase in comprehension power, but a temporary increase. Astonished, he thought to himself, could it be that this place can allow a person's comprehension power to increase? Holy *T. Then isn't this place too abnormal? If the spiritual energy was dense, then it was already cheating and starting to hang. His comprehension ability was also crazily increasing. Even a pig needed to be able to break through quickly. My comprehension ability has increased. All right. Long Fei seized this moment and started to frantically simulate in his mind. The thief's skills were being calculated time and time again, and would soon reach the outer space palace. If he did not use this opportunity to comprehend it, he would really not be able to do anything. Ding! Comprehension failed. Ding! Comprehension failed. Ding! He was getting closer and closer to the main gate of the outer space palace. As long as Star Spirit Messenger returned back to the outer space palace, he would hand over the power of Celestial of Tong Tian Tower. For him, this was a rare opportunity. I can't miss it. Whether the seal on the gravity troll could be undone depended on it. Hurry, hurry! Long Fei was starting to get anxious. Equals half-carat float. Hashtag life carrot suddenly. The system sounded out a melodious prompt. Ding! Congratulations to the player, Long Fei, for comprehending the God Thief skill, Exquisite Hand. Do you wish to cultivate it? Second, 8_8419/2357047. With great difficulty, he crawled up from the ground and swallowed a few medicinal pills to stabilize his internal injuries. Star Spirit Messenger's eyes were filled with anger as he bellowed, "You're not dead yet? Then go to hell." His body moved, attacking once again. If he endured another palm strike, Even would find it hard to escape death with his golden dragon protector, and even the golden dragon would need to awaken. His power had not reached the level of an existence that could protect Long Fei from any kind of energy attack. Earlier, he didn't know why Long Fei wanted him to block that palm strike, but this time, he definitely wouldn't let Long Fei take the risk. His body's strength moved. With a roar, Chiu Wandao charged forward like a savage demon beast. Rumble! 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 A huge explosion sounded as Chiu Wandao took a few steps back. With a deep voice, he shouted, "Come again if you dare." Both of his arms looked like they were about to break. He felt extremely uncomfortable as he stared coldly at Chiu Wandao and said, "Old thing, you dare to stop me?" His cultivation was weaker than Chiu Wandao's. However, he was not afraid because this was the outer space palace, his territory. Chiu Wandao slightly shouted, "So what if I stop you? If something happened to the God Emperor Academy's assessment, why did you throw the blame on us?" The Star Spirit Messenger's gaze turned sinister as he said, "If you didn't stir up trouble, would there be so many problems? Since you want to stop me, then I will let you know the power of Heavenly Hall of Immortals." Star Spirit Messenger's expression changed as an idea exploded above him. In that instant, the Star Spirit Hall was greatly shaken. Someone dares to make a move on Star Spirit Messenger. It's an outer space palace. What's so special about that? Immediately, in less than 3 seconds, dozens of beams of light flew out from the Star Spirit Hall. Bam! 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 Numerous figures landed and stood beside Star Spirit Messenger. All of them were experts. They were all experts of Heavenly Hall of Immortals. "Junior brother, who bullied you? Who dares to come to the outer space palace to cause trouble? You're looking to die, right?" Star Spirit Messenger stared at Chiu Wandao and laughed coldly, then said, "Old thing, you want to fight me? Come on, let's see if I can't kill you." There were more than 30 Star Spirit Messengers present. Their cultivations were all at Golden Immortal rank, and there were no lack of peak Golden Immortal stage experts. They were all much stronger than Chiu Wandao. Things had gotten out of hand. Zhang Tianai immediately said, "My lord, this is just a misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. Scram to the side. There are no misunderstandings here, only people who want to die." One of the Star Spirit Messenger snorted coldly at Zhang Tianai, completely looking down on him. "There is only one outcome for anyone who dares to make a move on Star Spirit Messenger. Die." Chiu Wandao's brows tightened, protecting Long Fei behind him. He sent a sound transmission to him. "Kid, later when the fight starts, you can run first, don't worry about me." Long Fei was secretly grateful in his heart and said, "Old Chiu, this matter was caused by me. I'll settle it myself." "You solved it. What are you going to solve? You are the young master of Long family and also his hope. You cannot die here." Chiu Wandao said sternly. He could risk his life for Long Fei, but he did not want Long Fei to act rashly and leave his life in this place. Because he was the young master of the Long family, his mission was to allow the Long family to rise up and solve the mystery of the Long family. Long Fei said, "Old Chiu, just who are you? Why are you defending me like this?" He had met her once in the Yuling Island and had not gotten to know her well. In the auction, who would not hesitate to sacrifice themselves for him just because he offended the elders and principal of God Emperor Academy. There must be something hidden in this. Chiu Wandao smiled slightly and said, "Who I am is not important. Long family has once saved my ancestors. It's that simple." 360 search. Half floating / equals. Long Fei was in disbelief. However, now was not the time to talk about this. Long Fei's idea sunk and said, "Old demon gravity, how much progress have you made with the seal?" Chapter 48_8419/2357049. The bodies of the Star Spirit Messenger trembled as they kneeled on the ground and said in unison, "We pay our respects to Supreme God." Black blood trickled out of the corner of Long Fei's mouth, and his head was still buzzing loudly as though it was going to explode at any moment. Qiu Wandao was the same. His face was pale white, as if he had instantly aged more than 10 years. "Supreme God," said slightly, "bring the two of them to the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals." One of the star emissaries immediately said, "Disciple understands." And then the shadow of the sky suddenly disappeared. Long Fei looked up into the sky and thought, "This is the Supreme God, the leader of the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals? Ancestor, what realm is this fellow in?" Yan Huang Ancestor exhaled a breath and said, "Your giant demon, Lei Mo, along with the Blood Dragon Mount, the Dragon Sallier, and me, none of them are his match. Very strong. He's extremely strong, the strongest person I've ever met in the Sky Martial Continent. With your current cultivation, just one of his idea wouldn't be able to take it." The Yan Huang Ancestor said, "His cultivation should have reached the immortal realm. Moreover, he is not the strongest person in the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals. There are also a few old monsters, and they are the true terrifying existences." When Long Fei had just chopped down the Dragon Sallier, Yan Huang Ancestor instantly sensed that Long Fei was being watched by a few idea. This kind of idea is even stronger than Supreme God. He should be the Supreme Elder of the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals, an expert of the Master's generation. It was impossible to resist. They were probably the strongest people in the Sky Martial Continent, the truly old monsters. Long Fei was overwhelmed with shock. Damn it! Isn't killing this bastard going to level up several times? If he were to go berserk, what sort of items would he be able to drop? Isn't he going to defy the heavens? He's a madman. The stronger he was, the more excited he would be because he had the game's striking system. The stronger the boss, the better it would feel. Long Fei immediately asked, "Ancestor, can't we defeat the giant demon clan's seal even if they remove it?" "I have never seen the power of the giant demon seal when it was completely released. Only until the day it was released will we know." "Oh." Long Fei then asked, "Ancestor, you are a Chaos Realm ranker. What about you?" Yan Huang Ancestor said, "Currently my power is not a match for you. I need a large amount of energy. When I can condense a virtual image to leave your body, all of these cats and dogs will be fine." "Rub." Long Fei shouted excitedly, "Ancestor, then hurry up and cultivate. I can't even wait." If he really wanted to kill a few level old monsters, then he could soar into the sky and level up like a rocket. Yan Huang Ancestor said, "Then you should at least get more holy artifact. Go and touch your own conscience and ask, how long has it been since you last got your hands on a holy artifact? Say it yourself. I'm starving." If you don't ask, with a single question, Long Fei glanced at the space ring, his heart feeling cold. "Ancestor, I really do owe you in my previous life. You have eaten up all the things in the auction, even tens of thousands of fairy stones. You have. Empty. Really crazy. It's only been a few days, and everything's gone. To instantly change from a billionaire to a pauper, this feeling was too unbearable." Yan Huang Ancestor grinned and said, "The food during this period of time is still not bad. Well, I'm going to train. Be careful." Then he dived and never came out. Long Fei wanted to cry, but no tears came out. "I wonder how many holy artifact you will scam me until you manage to condense your shadow of your Tao. I really want to die. I'd better think of a way to get the remaining 8 holy token question of God." Long Fei muttered in his heart. The gravity troll seal had already been activated, and he had to quickly obtain the 8 holy token question of God. First, he undid the gravity troll's seal. This way, he would have one more level of bodyguard. And then there was the earth-binding seal on Lei Mo's body. Long Fei did not need to be afraid of anyone when it came to unlocking the seal. At this moment, the star spirit messenger leading the way snorted and said, "Heavenly has arrived." At this moment, in the great hall of the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals, all the elders looked at Long Fei with cold eyes, as if he was a deep pond or a tiger cave. The moment Supreme God's voice fell, he said, "Bring him in." Chapter 5. Thank you for your support. "Bring him in. Bring him in." His voice carried the tone of an interrogator. Moreover, there was also a hint of anger in his voice. He was angry at Long Fei, and also angry at Qiu Wandao. Zhang Tianai said in a low voice, "When we enter the Hall of Immortals, you all must not be too reckless anymore. Understand, the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals was not like other places. If they angered the Supreme God, they would be eternally doomed." Qiu Wandao and Long Fei did not speak. Qiu Wandao was worried about Long Fei because in his heart, Long Fei had already leveled up to become a madman that was even crazier than Master. The hall was filled with elders. Above the great hall was the Supreme God. After Long Fei entered the hall, one of the elders shouted, "You mortals, quickly kneel down." His voice was not loud, but it exploded in Long Fei's sea of consciousness like thunder, and his body faintly trembled, as though he could not endure it any longer. Long Fei clenched both his fists tightly and said with an unyielding tone, "The disciples of my Long family do not kneel to the heavens, nor to the earth, nor to anyone." Even in the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals, Long Fei was still not afraid. If they wanted him to kneel, they would have to kill him. Long Fei continued, "If you say, 'I am immortal,' then how good can you be? Did you ascend? Have you broken through to the sky, martial continent? Since you do not have it, then aren't you also immortal?" "How dare you?" that elder shouted loudly. "How can the Hall of Immortals allow a lowly brat like you to be so arrogant?" Long Fei sneered. "Is this what you call arrogance? You probably haven't seen my wild and arrogant look before." "You." The elder opened his eyes wide, and the aura around his body became even stronger than before. His powerful aura crushed Long Fei's mind like an avalanche. All of the elders in the hall were looking at Long Fei with cold smiles on their faces. Supreme God was also looking at Long Fei. He knew that the elder was suppressing Long Fei, but he did not stop him. Long Fei stood in place, as steady as a boulder, unmoving by the 8 winds. However, cold sweat poured down his back. His mind and his sea of consciousness were overturning the sky and the earth. Golden Dragon Fury. Golden Dragon Master, who was protecting his mind and sea of consciousness, roared. He released a streak of golden light, and as if he had broken through his shackles, the powerful dragon's protection firmly protected Long Fei's mind and sea of consciousness. Buzz. Buzz. Two soft buzzing sounds directly crushed the elder's aura. Boom. A muffled sound rang out in the air. The elder's body trembled slightly, and a malicious glint appeared between his brows. Long Fei shouted, "Come again! Come at me if you dare!" His aura was extremely arrogant, his two eyes staring straight at the elder, as if he was about to eat someone. The attack that Long Fei hated the most was suppression. Long Fei was very unhappy. The elder was also furious and shouted, "How preposterous!" His body moved. His aura exploded outwards. A beast let out a roar from his body. Then the shadow of the beast charged out and floated in the air. Roar! The furious demon beast. Unbridled! This was the might of an immortal foundation, an extremely powerful demonic beast. Every elder in the heavenly hall of immortals had a great immortal foundation, and this person had a fierce beast immortal foundation. Ha ha! This kid must have been crushed. Elder Cheng's fierce beast immortal foundation pressure is not ordinary. Even if this kid has a defensive device on him, it won't be able to block it. This drills into one's mind to tear apart the mental pressure. Serves him right. You dare to be so arrogant in the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals. What kind of place do you think you are here? Crush him down. The elders were discussing in hushed voices. Qiu Wandao's body slightly moved, wanting to block by himself. Long Fei pulled him back and said, "Old Qiu, I'll do it myself." Roar! The fierce beast in the air roared once again and rushed towards Long Fei's head. Long Fei did not go to defend. The huge, ferocious beast attacked both his sea of consciousness and his mind. The elder smirked. "Get down." Once the fierce beast entered Long Fei's body, his mind would be torn apart, his sea of consciousness would be broken through, and Long Fei would become a trash. The mind was damaged in two places. No matter how powerful a genius was, it was useless. It would be useless for the rest of its life. Moreover, his vicious beast immortal root was different. Even if there was someone with a higher cultivation level, as long as it entered his mind, he would be finished. That elder became complacent, and with a pleased sneer on his face, he stared at Long Fei and said, "Brat, the heavenly is not a place for you to behave atrociously." The corners of Long Fei's lips curled up slightly. He was still as calm as before. The 8 winds did not move as he stared at the elder who had just spoken and sneered. "Do you think you're very strong? Do you think that your fierce beast, immortal foundation's virtual shadow can injure me?" Ha ha ha! Long Fei suddenly laughed loudly. "Golden dragon, annihilate!" Boom! Boom! Inside his sea of consciousness, the golden dragon rose up with its incomparably ferocious dragon head, dazzling golden body, and 2 huge eyes staring at that extremely tiny shadow of the fierce beast. That vicious beast was trembling in fear. Forget about biting into its sea of consciousness. It was so scared that it did not even dare to move. Who would have thought that there was a golden dragon hidden within Long Fei's sea of consciousness? Furthermore, it was an 8-clawed golden dragon, the Golden Dragon Master Sect. Was this a joke? Qiu Wandao moved slightly, blocking in front of Long Fei, and mocked, "Is this the character and behavior of a Tong Tian Fairy Hall elder?" Humph! Many of the elders looked displeased. At this moment, Supreme God's voice sunk as he shouted lightly, "Enough!" His voice was filled with authority, and in an instant he had completely suppressed that furious elder. Qiu Wandao's body also trembled. His internal organs seemed to be tumbling about as he exclaimed in his heart, "A single voice was enough to cause such a powerful pressure. What terrifying stage is this supreme God at? Too terrifying." Long Fei also felt it. He finally understood why the Yin Huang ancestor said that no matter how much power they had, they would still not be his match. This supreme god was simply an invincible abnormal boss. The supreme god said slightly, "Zhang Tianai, first tell me about the exam candidates' rebellion. How exactly did this happen? Give me a detailed explanation." During the time he was asking, Supreme God had been looking at Long Fei. He wanted to see through Long Fei, but he just couldn't, Zhang Tianai narrated in detail, and finally said, "Supreme God, as the principal, I have to take responsibility for the examinees' uprising this time, but as for the reason, I have to bear all the punishments. However, I still have to say it, the matters concerning the God Emperor Academy's assessment should be handled by the God Emperor Academy himself, and it cannot be managed by anyone who doesn't understand the God Emperor Academy at all. This time, such a strong uprising will greatly affect the God Emperor Academy, the Heavenly Hall of Immortals, and the demon slayer that you are looking for." Just as he finished speaking, some of the clan elders shouted, "Do you want me to explain to them? Zhang Tianai, do you have water in your head? Do you know what you were saying? Someone like you can become a principal. You want us to account for the mortal examinees. Are you retarded? How high and mighty was the Heavenly Hall of Immortals?" Was he going to explain this to some lowly examinee that was like an ant? This was an insult to the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals. In this world where the strong were respected, how could the strong account to the weak? The elders were all displeased. One of the very important reasons was that it was related to the sky-separating clan and Pan Sheng, as Pan Sheng was the #1 demon slayer. According to what Zhang Tianai said, it should be the responsibility of the Pan clan. Being mocked and scolded, Zhang Tianai did not refute, and silently stood there without making a sound. Supreme God did not immediately indicate anything. Instead, he looked at Long Fei and asked, "Long Fei, you are one of the examinees. It seems like the Pan clan is also targeting you." Long Fei was startled. She did not expect the Supreme God to ask him this. He looked at Supreme God and asked, "What do you want to hear?" Supreme God said, "Your heartfelt words." Long Fei said, "After killing Pan, who all of the disciples of Sky-Separating Clan will return to their true forms and undergo the assessment again." As soon as his voice faded, an elder jumped out, pointed at Long Fei's nose and scolded him. "Brat, who do you think you are? You know what you're talking about? You take yourself too seriously. Who do you think you are?" All of them seemed to be infuriated. The Sky-Separating Clan was an ancient clan of the Sky Martial Continent, and now that Pan Sheng was the #1 demon slayer, coupled with the fact that the Western demon flame was getting stronger and stronger, they had to rely on the Sky-Separating Clan. If they killed Pan, who now, wouldn't that mean that the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals and the Pan family were going to break up? What if Pan Sheng left the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals? Who will bear the consequences? Long Fei picked his ears, and as he listened, he became a little impatient. He looked at Supreme God and said, "This is the truth. This is the truth that you want." "I'm lying. Do you want to hear it?" With an official promotion, he directly raised Pan, who to the principal of the God Emperor Academy. The disciples of the Pan clan all became senior disciples, receiving the same treatment as the elders of the God Emperor Academy. Is that okay? As soon as he finished speaking, the elders quieted down. Many of them even nodded their heads in agreement. Only a few elders shouted, "Nonsense!" The space between Supreme God's brows furrowed slightly, but he did not answer. Instead, he looked at Long Fei and asked, "One more thing. The holy token question of God on Pan, whose body was lost, is it in your hands?" As soon as he finished, equals half carat float hashtag life carat Supreme God's eyes flashed with a bright light. This ray of light was staring at Long Fei as if he was testing a lie. As long as Long Fei's heart was beating, he would notice any change in the expression in the light. The corner of Long Fei's mouth lifted slightly and laughed. "If I say I'm not here, would you believe me?" The Supreme God said straightforwardly, "I don't believe it." Second, 8_8419/2357052. In a secret history, he had seen a certain connection between the Long family and the dragon race that had disappeared, a very close connection. Would Long Fei hide the secrets of the dragon clan, dragon race, an outsider from the Tianwu continent? They came from another plane, a higher plane, and they were bringing an endless amount of treasures. Countless holy artifacts entered the sky martial continent. There were even secret techniques to live forever. It was a divine ability comparable to the power of the heavens. Whoever could find the dragon domain would be able to obtain everything in the legends. For any warrior, especially someone like the Supreme God who stood at the peak of the martial way, the secret treasures of the dragon race was a huge temptation. It was already difficult for them to break through, much less ascend. In just a few hundred years, he didn't want to wait for his lifespan to run out and turn into a pile of dirt. He wanted to break through the shackles and obtain a longer lifespan. The secret treasure of the dragon race might be his only way out. He saw that little bit of hope on Long Fei's body. As long as there was a sliver of hope, Supreme God would not let it go. Thus, the Supreme God smiled faintly and said, "Long Fei, I can make you the second demon slayer." The conversation suddenly changed. He was spinning too quickly, causing all the elders in the hall to be unable to react. Long Fei was the same. His mind was shaken, and he did not know how to react. He thought to himself, "What is this guy trying to do?" Qiu Wandao and Zhang Tianya's faces changed as well. Demon Slayer? This identity is not ordinary. Supreme God's mind was spinning. Long Fei's mind was also flying. "No matter what you want to do to me, I don't care about my identity as a demon slayer, but I need a lot of holy token question of God." And then Long Fei revealed an excited smile and said, "Many thanks, Supreme God. So I am the second demon slayer?" At this time, the Supreme God was stunned. He did not expect Long Fei's quick answer and said, "That's right. As long as you nod your head, you will be the second demon slayer and will enjoy the treatment of a heavenly fairy hall elder level 1. Agreed. Of course. Long Fei immediately nodded and said, "Of course I will agree to such a good thing. I'm not an idiot." Long Fei said, "Supreme God, now that I am a demon slayer, should I reward a holy token question of God as well?" The Supreme God smiled slightly and said, "The number of holy token question of God are very few. There aren't any extra holy token question of God present right now, so I am powerless to help with this matter." Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "No, forget it then. It doesn't matter, since the holy token question of God are not useful to me anyways." While they were talking, Long Fei looked at an elder and said, "I am now the second demon slayer. Don't you want to congratulate me?" His hands were empty. His hands were empty. He returned empty-handed with a full load. Long Fei did not let go of any of these opportunities, and all of the clan elders thought highly of themselves and did not put Long Fei in their eyes, so they did not try to defend themselves. The most important point, the holy token question of God's business, was critical, even more so than their lives. If they lost it, they would definitely not dare to say it out loud. He could only suffer in silence. Mute people would often suffer unspeakably. Of course, that was a story for the future. At present, they did not discover that they had been stolen. Long Fei looked at the Supreme God on the stage and said, "Supreme God, do you want to congratulate me?" Supreme God smiled faintly and said, "I don't need it. You really don't need to use it." Long Fei said again. Supreme God said, "No need. It's enough to have this many elders to congratulate you. Now, you are the second demon slayer in Tong Tian Hall of Immortals." As soon as he finished, Long Fei interrupted. "Sorry, I just thought about it. I am still not qualified to become a demon slayer. First, I didn't kill the giant demon. Second, my Long family has enmity with the sky-separating clan. It is very easy for us to get into conflict. 3, I don't want to become a demon slayer myself, but don't worry, as long as it is something that threatens the fate of Sky Marshall Continent, I will definitely not sit idly by and do nothing." Now that he had obtained what he wanted, what was he supposed to do? Withdraw. Long Fei's face turned as pale as if he was flipping a book. One page, one face. He really couldn't react at all. The few elders were immediately angered and said, "Long Fei, you better not fail to appreciate my kindness. Supreme God breaking the rules to promote you is the blessing of 8 lifetimes. Don't fail to appreciate my kindness. Supreme God, it's impossible for such a person to become a demon slayer. Despicable and insidious, be it the Supreme God's cultivation or character. They cannot be compared with Pan Sheng at all. What does he count as? So what if your Long family, not millions of years ago, how many people in the Tianwu continent remember Long family? Besides, just the trash of his negative activation to dragon blood is probably just a bastard. He basically did not inherit the Long family's blood vein. Long Fei was too arrogant and provoked the wrath of the masses. Long Fei's mind went cold and thought to himself, "Giant demon, how much is there left?" The gravity troll said lightly, "I've already broken through 700 chains. Continue. Speed up." Long Fei urged. Long Fei looked at Supreme God and said, "Supreme God, I have said what I should say. Since many of the elders do not agree, then I should not be this demon slayer anymore. Old Xiao, let's go." He was about to leave immediately. The holy token question of God were all gone, yet they were still lying on the ground waiting for their deaths. Xiao Wandao's brain could be considered to be working, but he was completely unable to keep up with Long Fei's tempo, and he said, "Oh, finished." The two of them walked out of the hall. An elder shouted loudly, "Kid, are we letting you go?" Long Fei stopped and said, "What's wrong? You still want me to stay for dinner?" "Humph, you dare to reject the Supreme God. I don't care if you're a Long family or some random dog. You want to leave after being arrogant? Then you can't." The clan elder's body released a strong chi, blocking Long Fei's escape route one after another. It was also at this time a star spirit messenger frowned. He anxiously rushed into the Hall of Immortals and directly knelt down and said, "Supreme God, the holy token question of God on me is also gone." Supreme God frowned. He stared straight at Long Fei, who was at the entrance of the Hall of Immortals. Long Fei revealed a foolish look and completely ignored him. Qiu Wandao's heart sank. Another holy token question of God was lost. Song Tianai felt unwell in his heart. What in the world is going on? What is going on? At this moment, the faces of a few elders sunk slightly, because after they had a look at their own bodies, the holy token question of God S on their bodies disappeared as well. His facial expression changed drastically, but no one brought it up first. They wanted to see how Supreme God would deal with this star spirit messenger. Losing holy token question of God meant being beheaded. Star spirit messenger kneeled on the ground and trembled, then said, "Supreme God, I really don't know how I lost them. All along the way only Long Fei, and the other two were by my side. They were definitely stolen by that dog, Long Fei." Long Fei became furious and shouted, "Don't speak lies, did I steal it?" Did you see me steal it? I was almost killed by you, and you still dare to say that I stole it? Naturally, he wouldn't admit it, Star's spirit messenger asked. Who else could it be if not you? You were the one who stole Pan, whose holy token question of God. You despicable villain. At this time, the few elders immediately shouted, We can't let him go. Right. Don't even think about leaving this place until things are clear. They were worried as well as afraid. Their holy token question of God had also disappeared. This is deadly. It was also at this time. Supreme God's figure blurred and then landed. In the main hall, a head flew into the air. Not even a drop of blood flowed out of the wound. A stream of power from the wound stopped the blood from flowing out of the seal, leaving not a single drop of blood. Supreme God frowned and bellowed, Those who lose holy token question of God die. The elders who had their medallions stolen immediately shrunk, their hearts half dead from fear. In the game, the monster with the white name was a peaceful monster. If you didn't hit it, it wouldn't hit you. The yellow name was a little angry. Once it became a red name, it would initiate an attack. At the beginning, the name on top of Supreme God's head was white, but now it had turned yellow, and if the time was right, it would turn red. This was a boss mutation. At that time, he would take the initiative to attack Long Fei. At that time, it would be an earth-shattering attack. Long Fei saw it very clearly. There must be a reason why the Supreme God did not attack him. As for the reason, he could not think of it right now. One thing he could be sure of was that Supreme God would not touch him right now. Even if they knew that he had taken the holy token question of God, they would not do anything to him. If that was the case, Long Fei took a step forward to Supreme God's side and said, Supreme God, I have a small present for you. You should like it. Long Fei took out the Gu Wuji's secret order from his bosom and handed it over. Supreme God opened the envelope and took a look at it. His brows tightened as he saw the letter burn on its own. Send them off from Tong Tian Hall of Immortals. Zhang Ti and I continue the test. Also, pay close attention to the movements of the giant demons in the west. Train a group of elite disciples for me as soon as possible. Finished. Supreme God's figure blurred and instantly disappeared. Inside the hall, the elders got up from the ground with pale faces. Everyone was wondering what exactly was written on that letter. Long Fei thought in his heart, Senior E, I hope I can help you. Boom. At the edge of Outer Space Palace. This was the rear of the Heavenly, which was also the forbidden area of the Outer Space Palace. This was the Grand Elder's training forbidden area. Disciple has something important to report. Outside the forbidden grounds, Supreme God knelt on the ground. The gate to the forbidden area opened, and an ancient voice came out. Come in. Supreme God walked in respectfully and looked at a huge array. There was an old man in white robes within the array. The old man looked like a saint who had entered the immortal realm. Greetings, Master. Supreme God kneeled on the ground once again. The white-haired elder's eyes opened wide. What is it? Supreme God said. Master, someone from Long family has entered the immortal domain. The white-haired old man said slightly, I already know about this. I sensed it when his dragon Salyer power exploded. Level 3 dragon Salyer. It has no power at all. The blood vein does not have the slightest bit of dragon god power. To the powerhouses who disappeared from the Long family, it is just like a useless ant. Has Long family already fallen to such a state? The old man's eyes were filled with disdain. Supreme God said lightly, Master, I have met him in the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals, but he was calm and steady at the age of 20. His cultivation is only at the spiritual levy 6, but he is able to withstand the might of the golden immortal rank elder's attack, and is also heavily injuring his opponent. I can sense the power of the Tao Dragon's pressure in his body. Master, I feel that there's some kind of secret behind his back, which might be related to the dragon domain that disappeared, Supreme God slowly said. At this moment, when the white-haired old man heard about the dragon suppression and the vanished dragon's domain, his eyes flashed with a sharp light. Are you saying that that kid can find the dragon's domain and the dragon's clan? The disappearance of the dragon race was the biggest mystery of the Tianwu continent. The Long family's calamity was also a mystery. These two things had to be related. The old man did not care. What he cared about was the powerful treasures the dragon race had brought from the other realms, the powerful holy artifact S, and the immortal's secret technique. It was a divine ability comparable to the heavens. This was what he wanted. The dragon blood activation in his body is 0, but it can release the pressure of a dragon, adding that to the dragon god's saber chi in the dragon salure. If he was not a disciple of the Long family, he would not be able to use the dragon god's saber chi. If he was not a person selected by the dragon clan, the dragon god's saber chi and dragon's pressure cannot be used by him. Master, although we haven't verified it yet, I'm sure he's also looking for the dragon race in the dragon domain, just like Long Zhanting in the past. The white-haired old man frowned and said, Long Zhanting, back then we were too anxious. Otherwise, we would have already obtained the secret treasures of the dragon clan. Supreme God said, it's that bastard Long Zhanting who doesn't know how to appreciate favors. The white-haired old man said, let's not talk about this anymore. Since you are certain that this boy is looking for the dragon domain, then keep an eye on him. The secret treasure of the dragon race is my hope for ascension. You must find it for me. Supreme God immediately said, this disciple will definitely do his best. The white-haired elder said, go. Supreme God got up and wanted to leave, but he turned around and said, Master, Gu Wuji has ordered the Star Spirit Messenger to take action on his own accord. Only I know about this matter right now. He did not speak of the matter of Long Fei, giving him a secret order, because the less people know, the better. The white-haired elder let out a long breath and said, this child, Limitless, is always in a hurry to gain benefits. He always wants to become the supreme God, but his talent cannot be broken through. This was the secret of the heavenly hall of immortals. The white-haired old man was Gu Wuji's grandfather. Only the supreme God knew about this. The white-haired elder said, then let's forget about this matter. Supreme God immediately replied, disciple understands. After the supreme God had retreated, the white-haired old man looked towards the sky and said excitedly, dragon race's secret treasure, I will definitely get you. I definitely will. This is my last hope. His lifespan was almost up. If he couldn't break through, he would die of old age. On the way back to the God Emperor Academy, Qiu Wandao could not understand and asked, why would the Supreme God let us leave? He could also feel the anger that erupted from the Supreme God. Long Fei looked at Qiu Wandao and said, Old Qiu, is there something you're hiding from me? Qiu Wandao stared blankly for a moment and said, what have I hidden from you? Nope, Zhang Tianai said. Both of you stop suspecting each other. Senior brother, from today onwards, you will not be allowed to interfere with God Emperor Academy's matters. If you disturb me again, I will drive you out of God Emperor Academy. Long Fei, if you pass the examination, then you are a student of the God Emperor Academy. If you fail, then return to your South Horizon region and never come to the immortal domain again. There's more. You are not allowed to divulge anything that has happened in the Heavenly Hall of Immortals today. Zhang Tianai was afraid of these two madmen. Supreme God was furious. The consequences were unimaginable. Long Fei looked up at the Heavenly Hall of Immortals and thought to himself, the next time I come, I'll blow up all the bosses here. The supreme god boss is waiting for brother. This mutated boss would definitely explode, and Long Fei wanted to know what exactly was hidden in the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals. Right, there's something important going on. Long Fei suddenly looked at Qiu Wandao. Zhang Tianai asked, "What is it?" Long Fei laughed. "Old Qiu, it seems that I have passed the God Emperor Academy's examination. You have to be my follower, right?" 8 black lines hung from Qiu Wandao's forehead, making him unable to say a single word. In the distance, at the peak of an enormous mountain, a young girl stood at the edge of the cliff, quietly looking in the direction of the Outer Space Palace. Watching Long Fei leave the Outer Space Palace, the corner of her mouth slightly raised. "Interesting, I want to enter the God Emperor Academy too." The 5th chapter was sent over. I specially informed everyone that there would be a lot of things happening tomorrow at the little girl's full moon. If the updates are not accurate, or if there is less, don't worry. Everyone will be able to make up for it by the end of the ocean. Thank you for your support. 8_8419/2357055. At the examination hall, at the foot of God Emperor Academy. At the examination hall, at the foot of God Emperor Academy. The crowd was in an uproar. Are we really going to kill him? That's impossible. He's an elder of the sky-separating clan. I heard he's even Pan Sheng's blood uncle. Do you really want to kill him? The announcement said that it was written very clearly. It said that he violated the law by favoring others for his own good and must be severely punished. Didn't they say that he lost his holy token question of God? Why isn't it written in the announcement? Who knows? He probably came back. When Zhang Tianai returned to the God Emperor Academy, he immediately spread the news of the students' violent punishment, but the announcement did not mention anything about the holy token question of God. The holy token question of God losing would harm the reputation of the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals. This kind of thing naturally could not be spread out. The effect was not good. The key thing was that the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals did not want to escalate this matter. "Bring him up here." Zhang Tianai shouted loudly. He personally executed the punishment. The few elders around him turned ashen. "Headmaster, do you really want to kill him? He is the Pan clan elder. If we kill him, Sky-separating clan will definitely not let this matter rest. How about not waiting for him to finish?" Zhang Tianai slightly said. "This is what the higher-ups said. Supreme God has spoken. Do you dare to disobey?" He would use the heavenly hall of immortals S to crush all the elders. The faces of those elders darkened. They didn't dare to make a sound. Although the Sky-separating clan was strong and another demon slayer had appeared, it was not enough to contend with the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals. Pan, who said angrily in an aggressive manner, "Zhang Tianai, if you dare touch a single hair on my head, the Pan clan will not let you go, and the young master will not let you go either. You better be sensible and let me go, otherwise you won't be able to bear the consequences." Very arrogant. At this point, he was still not afraid, because he thought that no one would dare to touch him because he was a member of the Pan clan and Pan Sheng's blood uncle. Who would dare to touch him? Zhang Tianai slightly said. "Pan, who, the reason why you are causing today's chaos was because of you. This is the first time in the history of God Emperor Academy, so the faults you have committed must be borne by you." Pan, who bellowed, "Zhang Tianai, you dare?" Today's matter was obviously caused by that bastard Long family. Are you blind? It was this kid who instigated it. If I didn't suppress it, the outcome would be even worse than it is now. Long Fei stood at the side and watched as Pan, who was pressed onto the stage. He let out a cold laugh and said, Pan, who raged and roared, "Little bastard, all of this is because of you." However, Zhang Tianai had to thank someone in his heart Long Fei, it was because Long Fei had proposed to the supreme god that he kill Pan, who and abolish the sky-separating clan's examination results. If it was him, he definitely wouldn't dare to say such words. Right now, the Pan clan was different. Killing an elder from the Pan clan was an extraordinary matter. The key point was Pan Sheng was just the vanguard. There were even more powerful forces lurking in the shadows. Long Fei, kid, you're really different. Zhang Tianai looked at Long Fei, who was in the middle of the crowd, and his heart secretly tensed up. Long family? The Pan family? The heavenly hall of immortals? And it's the Song family from the Dark Domain. It's even those reclusive ancient family in the Tianmu continent. I'm afraid all of them are ready to make a move now. Zhang Tianya's heart also started to boil. With the opening of the Great Era, the Sky Martial Continent will definitely cause a grade storm. Who can control the floating? Millions of years ago, the Long family ruled once. What about now? Long Fei, can you do it by yourself? Zhang Tianai became a little excited as he looked up into the sky and muttered, "It's so good to be young. If I were a few dozen years younger, I would have definitely flipped the world upside down in this storm." At this moment, Qiu Wandao had walked up to him at some point in time, stood by his side, and said, "Junior brother, you're also boiling, right?" Zhang Tianai looked at Qiu Wandao with a sinister look in his eyes and said slightly, "Senior brother, what exactly is your relationship with the Long family? Why did you have to go all out to protect this brat?" Qiu Wandao smiled slightly and did not answer, but said instead, "Junior brother, who can rule the universe in this storm? I bet on this kid. I still have 10 immortal crystals. Take them first." Everyone in the courtyard was dumbfounded. The flowing heavens spirit, the smoke thunder, and the hidden elder Feng were all stunned. One immortal crystal was 100,000 fairy stones. 10 immortal crystals was equivalent to 1,000,000 fairy stones. What kind of concept was that? A tycoon. Fu Shishan said in shock, "Where did you get so many immortal crystals? You gave 5 in the morning and 10 in the evening. What do you want? You want to support me?" She was very touched. However, the immortal crystal contained a very strong power. To any martial artist, it was an extremely valuable resource for their cultivation. She could not create trouble for Long Fei. Long Fei laughed. "Sis, I'll eat yours and use yours. Obviously, you're the one who is supporting me. I'm just paying the fees. Continue to support me in the future." Finished. Long Fei didn't care that much as he directly stuffed 10 immortal crystals into Fu Shishan's hands and said, "Sis, you don't have to be so courteous to me." That was probably all he could do. However, didn't care about 10 immortal crystals, but someone's heart ached. Yan Huang ancestor was depressed. "Brat, I finally know what liver pain is now. It's liver pain now, and it's so painful that it's trembling. Those are 10 immortal crystals. Do you know what rank I can raise the Yin soldiers in the Yellow Springs summoning seal to? You could have broken through at least the 3rd level, but you gave it to someone without even blinking your eyes." Even though his heart ached, the royal elder didn't stop him. Long Fei said in his heart, "Let alone 10, even if it's 100 or 1,000, as long as she wants it, I will do my best to get it for her. My grandfather's life is more important than 10,000 immortal crystals. She was the one who saved my grandfather. I, Long Fei, will remember this favor and will never forget it." 3 continued life pills gave him time to go to the great desolate mountain ranges to find the dragon blood of ice and fire and to save his grandfather's life. If not for Fu Shishan, his grandfather would no longer be living in this world. Other than that, Fu Shishan had always been helping him, but even after he had entered the God Emperor city, he still helped him without a care. He is a grateful man. You're good to me, and I'll be better to you. Long Fei was just like that. Fu Xishan was extremely grateful. She really needed money now. She needed money to circulate and save the whole Fengyuan Merchant Union. With these 15 immortal crystals, it was like eating a pill to calm her heart. I will definitely make the Fengyuan Merchant Union rise again. Fu Xishan looked at Long Fei and teased, "From today onwards, Big Sis is your person." "That's not right. Don't think of me as a human. I don't care what you do." Fu Xishan's face was filled with enticement. Her alluring eyes could make one go crazy. She did not know how to repay Long Fei. If Long Fei nodded, she would really offer her life. Her body was perhaps the only thing that she could give to Long Fei. Long Fei's face reddened and said, "Sis, don't be like this." "Io, you're being shy." Fu Xishan laughed and said, "All right, Big Sis will not tease you anymore. You guys eat first. I will go to the kitchen and add 2 more dishes." Long Fei said, "Sis, don't trouble yourself. It's enough to eat." Fu Xishan walked out and said, "Anyway, they have nothing to do. Let them cook a few more dishes." She did not look back. She did not dare to, because at this moment, tears were streaming down her face. In another place, the Pan clan's secret stronghold. "What did you say? Pan who was killed? Who would have the guts to do so?" In the hall, an old man in his 50s, who was glaring at him, was sitting on a high seat. The aura around him was extremely violent, causing the space around him to distort. Pan Ju replied, "Great Elder, it's God Emperor Academy's principal, Zhang Tianai. However, I received news from the Tongtian Hall of Immortals. The culprit behind this was that brat Long family. He was the one who proposed to punish Elder Pan, who—" "Great Clan Elder, this Long family brat is too arrogant." Pan Zhan squinted his eyes and asked coldly, "Is that the brat called Long Fei?" Zhang Ju said, "That's him." A cold glint flashed in Pan Zhan's eyes, and he said coldly, "Long Fei, right? Let's just wait for the Pan clan to explode. We'll just wait for our deaths." Chapter 28_8419/2357057. The night passed in silence. The night passed in silence. Early morning the next day, waves of shocked voices came from the God Emperor Academy's academy. Boom. Another one came out. It was too fast. This speed is too fast. Today's event is being conducted under the supervision of the headmaster. It's impossible for any cases of cheating to occur again. However, why are these disciples completely different from yesterday's cases? He's 100 disciples of the sky-separating clan anyway. The 100 disciples of the sky-separating clan were all changed. None of them was the same as yesterday. Most importantly, their cultivation, strength, and talent were all several levels above the disciples from yesterday. It's so lively. What happened? Chun Tianfei jumped around in place a few times, wanting to see what exactly was happening within the crowd. At this time, a disciple at the side spoke out. The 100 disciples of Sky-Separating Clan are truly taking the examination. Huh. Fatty Chun was stunned. So early? Then what are their results? The disciple replied, "Just like yesterday, the only difference is that the second stage is a bit different." Same as yesterday. Chun Tianfei was shocked and said, "That's impossible, right? Yesterday, their results were in the top 100. It's impossible for them with their strength." The person said, "Today's group is different from yesterday's group." Walala, walala. The crowd at the front exploded with noise. 2 seconds, breaking the record. When his voice fell, all the disciples in the examination hall were stunned. In the beginning, there were still many who mocked Sky-Separating Clan for his ability to cheat, but no one dared to say so now. It had completely changed. Compared to the previous day's disciples, today's Pan Clan disciples were much more powerful. Zhang Tianai was also shocked. This is the true strength of the Pan family? 100 disciples were changed overnight, and whether it was in terms of talent or cultivation level, they were all above those disciples from yesterday. These people have a strong killing intent on them. Panshur 3 seconds. Walala. Another wave of shocked voices rang out. At this time, with the fatty leading the way, Long Fei and the others also squeezed to the front. The moment Long Fei appeared, several tens of cold gazes stared at him. One of the Pan clan disciples directly walked to Long Fei's side and stared at him coldly. "You're called Long Fei?" Long Fei looked at him and said, "Yes." That person sneered and said, "It's good that you admit to it. After this, you will suffer the crushing pressure from my Pan clan. You can enjoy it slowly." At this time, the statistical elder shouted loudly, "Next, Pan Xian!" The mouth of the person who was talking to Long Fei twitched, revealing a cold smile, and said complacently, "Long Fei, look clearly, watch how I stomp you down."